can I share my screen now?
Sure, Doctor.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, so as now you all know, a very good evening to all of you. So you all know that you all are going to listen to me for another 1 hour, 1.5 hours on literature reviews. I have been doing several sessions like this, and then I hope you all will also benefit from this as Professor Suranga, and I have to be thankful for him also for inviting me to join this session and then share my experience and knowledge in relation to systematic literature reviews. Not just literature reviews, but now we are in a era where we talk about systematic literature reviews. So I'm really passionate about these systematic literature reviews, and I'm so happy to share my knowledge, the bit of knowledge that I have in systematic literature reviews with all these researchers out here today. And so what I have planned is not much of things I have planned. I have, I'm sorry, my throat is a bit out. So I have planned to give a small introduction about literature reviews, and then talk about the differences between the literature reviews and systematic literature reviews. And then I'll move on to talking about uses of literature reviews, why we really want to do literature reviews, and then different forms of literature reviews, which we really don't think about, and then different goals in trying to for what purpose are we going to do literature reviews, and then different types of literature reviews. And towards the end, like at the middle of the session, I'll start on talking about the process of conducting a systematic or a structured literature review. Even though now in the heading, in the flyer and in my the title slide, I have put a systematic literature review, but it is also called a structured literature reviews also, because that was the term that I was using when I was doing a lot of things, a lot of structured literature reviews while I was doing my PhD. But now the scholars use the term systematic too. So it is the same. So I'll use the term systematic for this presentation. And I have, I'll keep the time at the end for you all to ask questions, as Madhushan was also mentioning. So before moving into more details about literature reviews, what sort of publications or what sort of research studies do we really see out there? Yes, I think you all might know. I heard some of you all are doing your research, and then you all some of you all are at the very beginning of your research, initial stages. You all haven't started, so all of you all might have something to take out from the session, I guess. So the ones who had already started reading articles and then certain research work might have identified that we have a range of different studies that we can see out there. And then there are publications out there from all those different types of studies. So qualitative studies are there, quantitative studies are there, mixed method, design science, mostly in IS research and all, we find design science, and then conceptual work. And also now the other part that I'm going to talk about is about literature reviews, which we see as another type of study and another type of separate publication also. Okay, so that is how, or that is where literature reviews would fit in the whole story of research. Okay, so when we talk about research, or when we talk about literature review research, we use this metaphor. Okay, we use this metaphor saying, standing on the shoulders of giants. That is something that we do in this is a metaphor that we can use to explain literature reviews in general, because we stand on the other researchers who had been working on research for a long time and they had done their publications. And what we do in a literature review, we go and look at their research and then try to get some understanding, get some information, get some more references to our work. So we are actually standing on the work of other scholars who had published their research. So once you do your research and once you publish it out there, some other people, future scholars, will use your work. So then you all also become giants in future when you have disseminated your work. Okay, so this is a kind of idea that we have with literature reviews. And I'll just introduce what literature reviews are. I hope all of you all might have an understanding on what exactly a literature review is, because you all are doing some studies and you all have been reading certain things. So I have borrowed this lengthy definition from Hart's book, where they talk about a literature review as a selection of documents, published or unpublished. Now, when it comes to literature reviews, there can be situations. Now, most of the time we talk about published ones because we tend to see the published. We go to journals, we go to databases, and we tend to get information from them. But also literature reviews can be like documents, theses or dissertations, reports, project reports that are there inside your library or somewhere, which is not really published, also can be part of your literature review. Okay, so that's why they say available documents, both published and unpublished, in a particular topic area. And then what we do, we try to put them together and investigate on some particular area. So that is what we do. Simply, we look at what is published out there and if possible, unpublished documents on a particular research area. And then we will try to get some idea to our work, and then how a particular topic is investigated at a particular time point, and then how it can be further developed. So that is why we really want to do literature reviews. Otherwise, if we don't want to do a research, or if we don't want to find a new interesting topic or whatever, we really don't need to think of doing a literature review. But for us to do more research work, we have to think about these sorts of literature reviews. And what is the difference between this normal definition that we have and a structured literature review? The main difference is, even though like I asked what is the difference, I might not give you all time to answer, because I know that you all will be talking at the end. So I'll just, because it's like, that's the way that I talk and I ask questions, and then I will not have time for y'all, like y'all will not have time to answer me, but I'll continue. But still, those are things that you might have to think. Okay, so then what is the difference between literature about this? Okay, so systematic literature reviews, now it's evolving. The systematic literature reviews are being done and being discussed now by many scholars and many, like say, even these say industry research people, they also tend to think of systematic literature reviews now. And what here we think of doing is making it nothing, say it's no magic here. It's like you do the literature review in a more systematic way. You have a proper, normally when you do, now think of how you do literature reviews. When you want to do a literature review on something, or you want to have a paragraph or one section on your report, what do? You just type in something, whatever you get, you read and get some info from that, and then you draft your section or that paragraph that you want. So that's what we normally do in a literature review. But a systematic review would be a step further. We will first we will first think of a pre-specified criteria. We will define a criteria to do our literature review, and then we start the review without just going into the databases or the journals or Google somewhere. We first have a research question, then our objectives, then we define a criteria. Okay, this is how we are going to do this particular review. And then we start collecting the relevant documents, relevant articles, relevant publications, and then try to put them together. Okay, so that's the difference. General literature reviews that we do, and then the specific kind of literature reviews that we call as systematic literature reviews. Okay, now this again is something borrowed from another document. And why should we be talking about literature reviews, or why should we be doing literature reviews? That's another point that we have to think about. Is it really necessary for us to conduct literature reviews? Is it worth spending so much of time? Now, unlike a normal literature review that we do, a quick one, say 1 or 2 days for a thesis, we might be able to find some literature and write something, but a structured review will take more time, maybe even sometimes. I have taken for some of my work, I have spent about even 2 months, 3 months doing structured literature reviews. It takes a long time because it's very structured and very systematic, and it takes time. Okay, so then why do you really want to do this? In general, whatever, whether it's a structured literature review or whether it's just a general literature review, it can be for several purposes that you do it. Okay, first thing would be just identifying what is known and unknown. You can go out there and then read on the things that you have in a particular topic. Now, say you want to talk about big data, and then you want to know what it is, what sort of research have been done. You can just Google and then find out something. And then after that, you can be more specific. Okay, how big data is being used in tourism. Then you can put those words and find something on that, and then you can identify, okay, how have big data been discussed by scholars in tourism research. Okay, so identifying what is known and unknown can be done through literature reviews. And then identifying how knowledge in your field has been developed. Now, because y'all are tourism people, maybe y'all can think of how different concepts have been evolved, and how it is being, how things are being discussed, how things have changed. Then another thing would be showing you understand your field. Unless, say, if somebody tells you, okay, can you tell me something about this? And if you have never read about that particular area, you won't be able to show that you have read about it. Okay, now say I'm talking about literature reviews. And then if somebody asks me, can you tell me something about this and this? So if I'm unable to give something, say not just my thoughts, but then say from some references, I can say you can refer to this, and then these are the good books or articles or some other references that you can read and refer to in this. Then people will think, oh, okay, yeah, she knows something about this. But if I can't show that to anybody, nobody will accept what I say. Okay, on that. So showing you understand your field. And then, I'm sorry about this throat, confirming and justifying that your own research is worthwhile. That is something that you do, isn't it? In the people, the students who have already started your research work might have already given a proposal, and then in that you might have had a section on the significance and the problem statement and things like that, and your background. So you might have used some kind of literature in trying to convince the others, confirming that this particular research that you're going to do is worthwhile. And also after we do research, what do? At the end, the findings we discuss with some literature in the discussion section. There are also, you can say, okay, this is what is being identified in literature, and this is what I found in my research. So see what I have done. This is something new. You can showcase it. Okay, and then contribute your convince your contribution to your field. So those are, it is how you can show. Otherwise, telling lots and lots of things in your findings will not be worth unless you can locate it in your field. This is what is known, this is what is unknown, and this is what my contribution from a small understanding about the users I have here, and several, and this is just some say a small bit of discussions that are there out on the uses of literature reviews. There's so many people talking about uses of literature reviews, why it's done, all that is also out there, but I have not brought in a review of or synthesis of everything here, but this is a small tip of what uses we can have from literature reviews. Okay. So that's, I hope I'm not very fast. You all can understand, you all can follow, I guess.
Yes, madam, it's clear.
Yes.
If you can read it slow, I think Dr. Janitha, it will be good, because students, there are some new students, they want to catch some words, right?
Okay, right, okay.
But
So
your signal is not very well, sometimes disturbing. So you are using the same place when you are doing the lectures?
Sir, today, yeah, I'm in the same place. Yeah, let me check. In case if there's a problem, can you just put a message on chat so that I see that?
Okay, I will tell you, right.
Forms of literature reviews. Here, this is a small thing that, this is a small area that I think you all might have to listen and then take notes and things like that, where it will be a bit new to some of you all who have not been, not really conversant with these literature reviews. So, no, not here, the other slide. So, when we talk about the forms of literature reviews, how many forms do you think we have? How have you thought about literature reviews? Yes? How have you thought about literature reviews? It can be usually when you read a research article, it will be a section of that. Introduction section is there, then it comes to your literature review section, or theoretical background, something there, it will be a section. So literature will come to us as a section in a research paper, and literature reviews will come to us as a chapter in a thesis or a dissertation or a project report, where you will have a separate chapter, complete chapter. Okay, and also other form of literature review is a review article, where you will do a literature review and publish only that as a literature review paper. So that is what I mentioned at the very beginning in the, after the outline slide, I showed you qualitative, quantitative, design, science, all that. So at the end, there's I had the literature review. So we have literature review papers separately. So that is another form of literature reviews that we see. Okay, that is there. And then the goals of doing literature reviews, and for different goals we have, we might think of doing different types of literature reviews also. Why we do literature reviews, we can have 4 goals. Basically, we can put them together, whatever the goals, whatever the purposes that we have, we can put them together as under these 4 goals. It might be either to summarize the existing knowledge. You might think of, okay, I want to know what has happened out there in relation to XYZ research. So summarizing existing knowledge. Or it can be aggregation of data. You might think of, okay, I would look at all the data available in these research, and then I'll try to come up with something. So that is another goal people might have as researchers. And then explanation building in developing certain things, in developing certain conceptual frameworks. Okay, and then also for some critical assessment, that can also be another goal. Okay, so depending on these different goals, these 4 goals that we have, we can conduct different types of literature reviews also. Some of them can be categorized under structured or systematic literature reviews. Some can be just literature reviews. Even without a systematic approach, you can do them. Okay, I have brought today about 8 types of literature reviews, but that's not an exhaustive list. There's about, when we read, we can find about 20 odd types of literature reviews sometimes, which people had been talking about. But these are the commonly discussed, commonly used types of literature reviews. How many? Just think 30 seconds and see how many of these you know. Yes. How many types of these? Now we know literature reviews. All of us, we know. Now, until I finished my PhD, I also didn't really know about these different types of literature reviews. After that only, I also knew. So, let me check my, yes. Okay, I changed it. I changed this. I hope it will work now. I changed it to the other connection. Let's see. I'm sorry about that. So I'll briefly explain about these 8 and then move on to the process of conducting the literature reviews. Okay. So here, narrative reviews. What is meant by, what do you think a narrative is? What generally when you say we narrate something. Okay, when we say narrative reviews, there we try to narrate things. Okay, this is the most simplest form of literature reviews we have. And here in these type of literature reviews, narrative literature reviews, we try to identify what is being written on a particular subject, and we don't really try to generalize anything or accumulate whatever existing there in relation to that topic. You will not try to talk about. Okay, so accumulation attempts, it's trying to, you try to collect whatever available and then try to say this is what is there under a particular topic. Okay, so here either you can have it as a structured review or it can be done as a general review. It doesn't have to be always narrative reviews, can either be systematic or non-systematic. Okay, and then it's more opportunistic, where whatever you come across or whatever the information that you can find, you will put together and then you try to give a summary or a review. Okay, and then if if you have not really followed a particular structured approach, you will not be explicit on the process followed. Now, in mostly when it comes to systematic literature reviews, we have to show, we have to tell, this is how we did the research, this is how we conducted the literature review, these are the keywords. I'll talk about them in a while. But here, when it comes to narrative reviews, you might not really talk about that process that you follow. And your main purpose is coverage of literature, not really going in detail, going in depth and reading everything there and then trying to bring a comprehensive discussion. Okay, so narrative reviews. Then descriptive reviews. The term descriptive, what does it mean to us? Usually, what does it mean to a person? Descriptive, you try to be a bit descriptive, meaning you will collect some information about what sort of, say, maybe research methods have been used, what sort of data collection methods have been used, or maybe certain publication years where a particular topic had been discussed more, and how trendy had it been in different periods, things like that. So simply, so here in a descriptive review, you determine the extent to which empirical studies in a particular area is done, or you try to say, okay, most of the research done in this particular area tend to show us a positive trend, or it has an increasing trend, or whatever. You just give some brief idea on the work that had been done in a particular study. Okay, so it can be, it might reveal any interpretable patterns or trends with respect to certain propositions, theories, methodologies, findings, etc., etc. A description. And here, unlike the narrative reviews, it will follow a structured search method to make sure that you have a representative sample. Okay, otherwise you can't say this is the trend. If your sample is not representative enough, you can't say this is the trend, this is how it happens. Okay, so you will here follow a more structured approach, and then to make, that is to make sure that you have a representative sample. And here also focus on breadth of coverage of the literature rather than the depth of coverage. Okay, and next one, I'll move on to the next one. The third type of review that I brought to discuss is the scoping reviews. What do you mean by scoping? You scope, meaning what? You scope it, scope something. Yes, we map something. We try to map something. It is also called mapping reviews. So here, these sorts of reviews we do before going into detailed full systematic reviews, generally. Okay, when we talk, because now I'm not just a review, so then it is a major effort that you will be it is a major effort that you will be putting in trying to do a systematic literature review. So before jumping into doing it, you will have to do a scoping review and see whether it is really necessary to do a say expanded review through a structured method. Okay, so done to get an initial idea, and then it will facilitate to identify the extent, range, and nature of research activities, and also it's and then whether it's valuable to do it. Okay, and it is partially similar to narrative and descriptive, but here also it should be as this review should be as much as possible comprehensive. Okay, and here focus on breadth of coverage again rather than the depth of coverage, scoping reviews also. Then I'll move on to the next categories, two categories under that I'll talk about, which will be really done as systematic. You can't do it as a normal review. You will have to follow systematic approaches. First category is meta-analysis. Other one is qualitative systematic reviews, which I'll discuss in the next slide. So when we say meta-analysis, meta means what? Meta-analysis would cover what sort of things? Here, it's about mostly about quantitative areas. Here they talk about, because most of the meta-analysis done are combining a lot of quantitative studies, but maybe we can think of qualitative studies as well. There's no hard and fast rule in saying you can't do it for qualitative, you can only do it for quantitative. So here what they do in a meta-analysis, you try to collect all the studies done by others on a particular research area and then try to see what sort of findings have they got. This review will collect all the statistically significant findings and also non-significant findings from different studies on a particular phenomena that is there under your objective, and then you will try to put all of them together by yourself. Now say there's 125 research done. You select after screening and everything, you select 125 papers for your review. So then you will see, okay, 125 out of that 100 people have shown statistically significant findings. They had said, okay, there are this is how it has been done and significant findings, and also other 25 very much not say not significant, but they have some sort of findings on this end. You will put all of them together and then you try to come up with your idea on that particular relationship. That is a meta-analysis. Okay, so you're able to calculate more precise estimates of the effects of the phenomena under investigation than those derived from individual studies alone. Now say one person doing a study and then giving out some results, and you trying to collect 100 research on that area on the same topic in the same relationship that is being studied, and then you try to look at everything and then you give out some estimate on that. So that might be more precise, because there you cover a lot of samples, lot of data, lot of interpretations, everything from 100 perspectives. We bring it together and then we can do it. So it's giving us a more precise estimate on certain things. And it would be a really worth sort of type of a literature review, that meta-analysis, if can be done. And then these use specific data extraction techniques and also statistical methods. So definitely this will fall under structured literature reviews. And also these will allow researchers to draw meaningful inferences by settling existing controversies that arise from conflicting empirical studies, because within that 100 papers that you select, there can be people agreeing to a particular relationship, people rejecting certain relationships. So you can be somebody who will be thinking in both perspectives and giving out a much more stronger view, and then try to bring out spread out the issues and then bring out a more acceptable viewpoint on a particular phenomena. Okay, that is about meta-analysis. And then qualitative systematic reviews. What do you think a qualitative systematic review would be? Again, not like meta-analysis, still it follows a typical systematic review process, as I mentioned to you. These are the two that I'm going to say that you have to follow a systematic approach. And contrary to the meta approach, these use narratives and will be more subjective. Now, earlier when I was talking about quantitative, I said quantitative sort of relationships, rejected, accepted. So I was talking about more quantitative terms. Here, in a qualitative systematic review, it combines more qualitative, more narratives, and not really statistical methods to bring together the findings. So that is the two ends. We can, if it's more quantitative sort of, we can go for meta-analysis. If it's more qualitative sort of, then we can move to qualitative systematic reviews. It's not that here they don't really think about taking anything as anything quantitative. Here also they can pick out certain things like these p-value, significance, and things like that to support their discussions. But main focus would be on collecting qualitative sort of information. And here also various content analysis methods can be used to summarize the findings and selected studies. Okay, and narrative here again, generally it's about putting or bringing together information in a narrative form. Okay. Umbrella reviews. Umbrella is what? It is covering. Umbrella is covering us, isn't it? When when we say umbrella terms, it covers so many terms together, some different things together. So here, umbrella reviews is also something similar to that. There, what we do, we integrate relevant evidence from multiple systematic reviews. This is a review of systematic reviews. You take all the systematic reviews together, because nowadays this trend of doing systematic reviews are increasing. And then there out there you can find a lot of systematic literature reviews also on a particular topic. So why not think of collecting all those systematic reviews together and try to bring out what they say. Okay, so these are these umbrella reviews they're talking about, or they're trying to do, they're trying to integrate multiple systematic reviews together and give out some comprehensive understanding to the readers. Okay, so here umbrella reviews appraise the methodological rigor and quality of evidence of the systematic review. So when you're taking literature reviews to these umbrella reviews, you will think about the quality of that selected paper also. Because if you collect say less qualified less quality papers, reviews done, then your review will also be low quality. Okay, so here we have to mainly think about the quality of the reviews that we are selecting also, and then we can follow the same methodological standards that we follow for general structured reviews here under umbrella reviews also. Then we have theoretical reviews. The next category that I have, I think there's 2 more. I brought only 8. There's so many others, but I didn't want to really put so much of theory into your brains at one day in 1.5 hours. So theoretical reviews would be talking about what do you think it is? It is trying to bring out conceptualizations. Okay, it's a higher order theoretical structure, and various concepts, constructs, relationships are built using the existing work. Okay, so you develop novel conceptualizations, or you can say either you can bring your own new models, frameworks, or you can evaluate the existing ones and extend them. So here under theoretical reviews, you try to bring different work or different studies that are done on a particular area, and then trying to it's not just assembling information or assembling ideas in those papers. There you try to develop something, develop new conceptualizations, or you try to extend the existing conceptualizations. And these will follow a systematic approach to make sure that you have a relatively complete set of literature. Okay, when you have developed. Otherwise, some people might say, okay, you have only taken these papers and you have not taken these other set of papers, which really tells about something new. So then your conceptualization is not, it's not really worth. So that's why you will have to follow a systematic approach and then try to collect information to be, and also here quality will be important, because your conceptualization depends on the quality of work, quality of conceptualization, or the ideas that are there in the papers that you're going to use for your theoretical review. The last type I'm going to talk about is the critical reviews. Being critical through your literature reviews. That is what we have here. Okay, so here, critically analyze the literature on a broad topic to reveal its weaknesses, maybe, or maybe the contradictions or controversies or inconsistencies. You take a topic and then you try to see what has been done, what are people saying, and then you try to critically analyze either towards, say, for it or against it. And then one specific thing here is you try to have a criteria against which you will compare this paper and our criteria that we have. In trying to critically analyze, you can't just say this paper is good, this is bad, this person's one work is good, this is bad. You don't say like that. You have to have a criteria, okay, checklist. These are the things that we are looking for, and these are the studies that we select. So one by one, you will compare and see, and then you try to highlight the problems, discrepancies in these different areas, and then present your findings. Okay, and then these sorts of reviews allow us to constructively inform other scholars and strengthen the development. And here, unlike in earlier cases, the sample can be more selective. We can select papers that we want to take, and we can omit papers that we don't want to take, even there's no rationale. Okay, because you're trying to be critical on certain things. So sample would be selective or representative, though, like say everything, all the papers who had not accepted something you can't reject, but in general, what are the papers that we are going to take to the review, we can decide upon. And also you may provide explanations as to how the review process was conducted. Okay, so I don't know whether you all have any questions at the moment, but let me continue. And then if you all have any questions, we'll discuss towards the end. Okay. Now these 8 and the 4, can you remember the goals? I had 4 goals at the beginning when I started these 8 types of reviews. I mentioned 4 goals before that. So how can we fix these, fit in these different types and these goals? Okay. So we had 4 goals: summarizing prior knowledge, data aggregation or integration, explanation building, critical assessment. So for summarizing prior knowledge, if your goal is that, then you can do a narrative or a descriptive or a scoping review. If your expectation or your goal is data aggregation or integration, then you can think of a meta-analysis, qualitative review, or an umbrella review. And explanation building also, you can, if your goal is explanation building, then you can go for a theoretical review. Okay, and if you want to do a critical assessment, then we can go for a critical review. And also there are some more types of reviews that I can plug in to these all four of these goals, but this is just a list of things for your brief understanding. Okay, so that's I think I have taken 1 hour there. So on that, so quickly I'll move on to the process of conducting a systematic or a structured literature review. Now that is the most important thing, but before going into the process, you have to know what sort of a review am I going to do in my work. So that is why I gave you all the background on how to select the review that you want. Okay, so because in conducting a literature review systematically, you will have to first decide on what type of a review you are going to do. Okay, so these processes, again, I'm not the only person talking about structured reviews. There are eminent scholars talking about systematic literature reviews. And I was fortunate to work under one of them when I was doing my PhD. So that's why I know a bit about systematic literature reviews. So here, when we talk about the processes that we can follow in conducting literature reviews, structured reviews, we can use tool-based methods and non-tool-based methods. When we say tool-based, what sort of tools can we use in research? Now, these are not tools that we use to do this other repairing and things like that. This is about tools that we can use for research work. Okay, when it comes to tools in research, it can be for reference management. You can have EndNote, like that. There are different tools that you can use for managing your references. And then you can have quantitative data analysis tools. We know the most common one that most of us use, SPSS or eViews. Okay, Smart PLS or different R and things like that. There are so many tools, and then and then qualitative tools are also there. Have we all heard about NVivo, Atlas, things like that? So those are again tools that you can use for data analysis, qualitative data analysis. Now SPSS, eViews, all that for quantitative data analysis, and then NVivo, Atlas, all that for qualitative data analysis. So now when we are doing a literature review, how are we going to incorporate these tools into our work? Okay, so some people talk about this, and some structured processes, some methods, they don't really talk about a tool to be used. They are not explicit about using tools. Okay, so there are people, this person, Templer and Pare, they had been talking about literature reviews for a long time, and I had been in one of his workshops as well, where he taught us about these different types of research literature reviews that can be done. And they are in one of his papers, together with one of his students, their papers, they come across this process with 6 steps, where they talk about formulating research questions and objectives, searching, screening, then quality checking and extracting and analyzing. And in their process, they had not talked about use of any tools that I just mentioned a few minutes ago. But another person this is a Sri Lankan scholar in Australia who was my supervisor for my PhD also. So they had come up with this tool-based method where they talk about this is the process, this is how you will be doing your research here, but throughout this research means, the literature review, but throughout the process, what sort of tools can be used? They talk about the different qualitative data analysis tools as well as data management, data reference management tools that can be used throughout the process and how it can be used. Okay, so likewise, there are people who had been talking about tool-based approaches and non-tool-based approaches. So I will not talk about these two, but I'll tell you all, I'll take you all through a common process that I have derived after looking at so many of these processes described by different people. So that is a common process that we can follow. So first thing, in doing a research is doing a literature review is common. I'm sorry about that interruption. So first step in this systematic literature review process is defining the purpose and your research questions. So that is something that we do in a research also, isn't it? We first think about, okay, what is our research? What are the research questions? What is the purpose? All that we think. So here also, in doing a systematic review, first thing you have to do is you have to be clear on what you are going to do. So what is your purpose? What are the research questions you are going to answer through your systematic literature review? You have to be very clear whether it is whether you are going to talk about, say, for example, one research paper I used from tourism for this presentation. There they had done a literature review on how big data is applied in tourism. So their research question, how big data, the research question they have is how have big data been incorporated in tourism research, sort of a thing. So that's their research question, and their purpose is to identify all the work that had been done in that area, and then to give out a summary of that. So something, the purpose and the questions, you have to be clear. Then the second one is decide on a review type. Now you know about 8 types of reviews, what different types of reviews that you can do. So select one. What am I going to do? And you have to have a specific reason for that. You can't just say, okay, I'm going to do a descriptive review without any reason. You have to have your own justification, because you have to document this. Now, when it comes to a systematic review, if you are going to publish this as a systematic literature review, you will have to be very organized, very well organized, and follow these steps. The third point is you have to develop a review protocol. Okay, review protocol. We now in case study research and all, we have a case study protocol. How we do the case study. Likewise, in systematic structured reviews, we need to do a review protocol. What is a review protocol and what will it have? Yes, what will it have? What do you think it will have? Yes, review protocol will consist of many things. Now, the time you prepare these, by the time you start doing your review protocol, you have to finish these things. Your purpose of the review, research questions, and the type, you have to be say clear on what you are going to do. Then only you start your review protocol. Okay. First point there, you have to decide on the sources and databases or journals that you are going to use, and the keywords, which I will talk to you in. These are actually becoming the steps in the process also. So I will explain them one by one in the process discussion, but I'll show you the things that we need to have in the review protocol. Okay. So you will have to talk about, you will have in the review protocol, the fourth thing, you have to talk about the sources. Okay, but from where am I going to collect information. What are the databases that I'm going to use? What are the journals I'm going to use? What are the keywords? All that. And then inclusion, exclusion criteria and the quality criteria. What sort of work am I going to use and what sort of quality I'm going to maintain. Then procedure of screening and selecting articles. How am I going to screen the papers and select them? And how am I going to extract data? Whether I'm going to use the tool or whether I'm not going to use any tool, but okay. And then decisions on backward forward search strategies. That is another point which we try to gather more articles or relevant references to your work. And then how you are going to synthesize and report. And in the case where you're going to do this as a teamwork within a group, then you can also have something like rules of the reviewers. If we have 5 people in your group, who will do what? Who will be involved in screening? Who will be deciding the inclusion, exclusion, all that we will have to think about. And also the time plan. I think somebody's video is on. So, and I see your hands and all, maybe somebody, Lahiru somebody. Okay, so, this is a review protocol. These are the things that you normally have in a review protocol. So by the time you define your purpose and your research questions and review type, you have to then think of developing your review protocol also. Okay. And after you do your review protocol, then you follow one by one the steps that you have and the items that you mentioned in your review protocol. First thing you mentioned there was about selecting databases and journals and keywords. How will you select your databases and how will you select your journals? Again, you have to be very systematic. Okay. So I have taken one example from this. This is a very this is a Q1 journal in Skimago ranking list, tourism management recent paper in not really 2020 but 2018, a literature review. I took this literature review paper to give out you all some understanding about how these people have done this selection and then how they have come up with their keywords. Okay, so this paper I used to from this paper I got their databases, journals, and not really their journals, but they have used databases only and their keywords. Okay, how they have done it. So first thing, they are select the search sources based on subject. Okay, subject areas. Now here in this study, you can see it says big data in tourism research, a literature review. So the 2 areas, okay, the 2 areas that you are going to do in this or search in this topic would be about tourism and also big data. I hope you have some idea about big data because that's a buzzword that is being used these days, talking about structured, unstructured data and all. So I hope you all have some idea about that. Data analytics and things like that goes hand in hand with big data. So this search they have done on tourism and big data. Then they have thought about the second stage is you have to think about some domains, but in this paper they have not really thought about, they're not explicit about their domains, but then they have put they have selected some databases. They have used in this particular research, they have used Web of Science and then Science Direct, Sage Journals Online, Emerald, Springer and Wiley Online Library together with Google Scholar. Okay, so that is these are the databases that this person in this literature review, this is what they have selected, and then they have gone to identifying the keywords and synonyms. Okay, it's not just keywords that we will search. Actually, you have to go a step beyond that. We have to think about some synonyms also. So for tourism, they have used terms like tourism, travel, tourist, and all that. And then for big data also, they have come up with some synonyms. Okay, and then they have put these words together, all these keywords and the synonyms together, and then they have come up with their search query. Okay, so all the synonyms and keywords here that they had for tourism, together with the other keywords and synonyms for the big data part. Okay, so you can see they have used these Boolean operators. We call these Boolean operators, and those not. Not is also another thing that we might use if you don't want that search to give us something, some word, some papers that give some word, then we can put a not, capital NOT also, and then put that word. So those are called Boolean operators. So they have combined these synonyms and keywords together, and they have come up with a search query. So this is what I meant by the fourth stage, where you decide on your databases and your keywords. And then I can show you, I brought another example from my area, not your area. This is from Accounting and Business Process Management, where this is one of my research. So here, what the intention here was to bring out all the research that had done combining business process management and accounting. Okay, so then unlike in the earlier paper, we defined the domain also. Now, business process management is a topic that is discussed in information systems research as well as in business management research. So we try to combine the databases that covers the information system domain as well as business management domain. And then for accounting domain is there, and then also it comes under general business or business management also. So those four domains together, and then we identify different databases that gives information about these different, gives articles out from these different domains. Okay, and then we combined, then we came into these synonyms and keywords stage. And in the earlier paper, we didn't have these subcategories of keywords. Now, when we use certain words like accounting, it can be financial accounting, it can be management accounting. So then financial accounting, there can be certain words, synonyms. Management accounting can be synonyms. So different steps that you can use to really come up with a comprehensive set of synonyms for your search. And then what we did was we combined all these with these different Boolean operators, and then we came up with two strings, and these were searched in all the databases that we selected here. Okay, so similar to the earlier research, this is what we did. That is the fourth step that we follow. Okay, and now I will just skip this part because I just wanted to know about, or else I'll quickly show it. Now here I showed you search strings. Okay, search strings. Now we combine words like this, and can you really put this whole thing in a database or in all databases? If you all have done some work, if you all have done some research, you might see that now this person, this whole set of words, this whole string, some databases facilitate us to put this whole string together, and some databases, they don't allow us to use this whole string together. Then we have to use different options, okay, in searching in databases. So that's why I have put this question: can we use the same search string always in any database? Not really. We might have to look at how they cater, and then what their requirements are, and how they will be giving out results more effectively. So how you would be, how to know about that? How would you know how to search in databases? It's very easy. There's no magic. Whenever now I have taken two databases, some screenshots to show. Now this is the Science Direct database. And there, when you go to that database, they have an option called Advanced Search. Okay, when you go to that Advanced Search, that tab, that particular tab, when you click that, you get this second screen where it gives you in the corner search tips. Okay, so when you go and click that search tips, they will tell you how to do a search in this particular database. Okay, so because it differs sometimes from database to database, you can always, they will say what we mean by this, what we mean by this term when we are searching, and then how to use these Boolean operators and how things, whether we can use these inverted commas and not, whether all that they will say. Also quickly, another database, I just took some screenshots from that, EBSCOhost. Again, they will have a help point here. It's a bit different. It's not about the advanced search. They say here first help. So we go to help, and then in help, they have a lot. They give you a lot of guidance on how to search. There are tutorials and all that. So there also, they had basic search, advanced search, improving search results, limiters, multi-database limiters, Boolean operators, all that. So just click those things and you can read them to get an idea on how to search on databases also. Okay, different databases that we access. So now we are here. Conduct the search in decided databases. Now what will happen? You had your query, you had your databases, then you searched your keywords, the string that you made out of your keywords in these databases. Then you can't stop there. Now we are in the middle. We have to apply the inclusion, exclusion, and quality criteria. Now, when you search a query, now you all can do this after the class, okay? Tomorrow morning or whenever you're free, you can just try yourself. When you search, you get sometimes thousand something or 500 something papers. Not really manageable. So you should know your inclusion exclusion criteria first thing. Okay, how do you decide on your inclusion exclusion criteria? What to include, what to exclude, and then also not just that, you have to think about the quality of the work that you include and the quality of work that you exclude. Okay, so in the inclusion criteria, you might inclusion exclusion, you can think of, okay, what type of publications will we include? What sort of publications, meaning whether we are only taking peer-reviewed journals or within a particular period of time, or whether it's from ranked journals only, or whether done in particular journals. What is your, what sort of publications will you include and what sort of publications will you exclude? You will have to decide on that. And the study is not satisfying your criteria, you will drop out. Okay, sometimes now say there can be journals, journal papers, there can be book reviews, there can be reports, viewpoints, things like that. So are we taking all of them, or are we just focusing on journal papers and we are not taking any book reviews? So what is your inclusion, exclusion, you decide, and then you exclude all the studies that are not within your requirement. And then you, out of the results that you got, you say apply your inclusion, exclusion, and you get a list of relevant papers. And then you have to recheck individually, one by one, whether they are actually relevant or not. You can't just take it to a data management, data analysis tool, or say manually do it. You don't do it without checking the relevancy. You have to check the relevancy also. And also this inclusion, exclusion can be, criteria can be, say, developed country context only. on developing country context, certain quantitative studies only we take, or we take case studies, or we take literature reviews. So that this is the place that we are going to drop out the others. Then we have to think about the quality, because we know this garbage in is garbage out. So when if you take low quality input, your output will also be low quality. So better to maintain some quality. Okay, so quality we look for in these articles will differ depending on the review you perform. If you want to really do say a descriptive sort of a study, then maybe you can take anything. But then if your purpose, say if you are trying to think about say something like a meta-analysis, a generalization requirement that you have, then you can't take low quality work. But then just if you want to just scope if it's a scoping review or if it's a critical review, then you can take work that is out there without thinking much about quality, but you have to maintain a particular standard. You can't take each and everything, say everything that is out there to your research. You have to limit by certain quality criteria. And then if there is a team, then as like say sometimes we do research together in teams. So if there is a team, then individually we can say some members of the team can do a quality check of your papers that are selected. Now quality is after selecting, you see whether they are quality, and while you're including excluding also you can think about this quality. So whenever you think about a high ranked journal, Q1, say if you take Schimago ranking list, then it might be Q1 or Q2 journals. Or if it's a BDC ranking list that we use, maybe A star or A or B, something like that. So what is the quality of the papers that, or what is the quality of the journals that we are looking for? We'll have to decide even in trying to include and exclude the papers also. Now we are here in the process. Okay, we conducted the search and then we applied the inclusion, exclusion and quality criteria, and now we have to apply the procedure for screening and selecting the articles. Now up until now what you got, you just had the user search with the keywords, and then something came, and then you're trying to then you try to see whether they are matching those inclusion, exclusion criteria, whether it's under developing or developed, all those things, and then Q1, Q2, or whether refereed or non-refereed journals, like that. But applying the procedure for screening and selecting will go a bit more or go a bit more like say towards reading the paper, where you will have to read the abstract first and see whether it is matching your requirement. That is why when we write papers, your abstract should be really reflecting what you have done in your paper. So because people read the abstract and get an idea about what it is and what sort of things are there in the whole paper. Without reading the whole paper, somebody should have an understanding about the abstract. Without reading the whole paper, by reading the abstract, somebody should be able to get an understanding about the whole. I think something happened. Okay, so we should be first reading the abstract. If we can't decide whether it's relevant to our study or not. Now, in the example that we have taken, we had big data and tourism. So if in the now in the topic it says big data and tourism, but when you are reading the article, it's just something that they have mentioned about big data outside the topic. Then it's about tourism, but not about really applying big data in tourism. So by reading the abstract, you might be able to drop that article. If you still can't identify, then you read your conclusion section in the paper and see whether you can find something there. And if that at that point also, if you're not sure, we don't drop papers. Okay, we always try to include as much as possible. Okay, so we include the paper and keep it with us, because there will be another stage where we will read and extract information. Okay, so we will wait for that point. We will not drop the papers as soon as they are not good. Okay, so then if you're not sure, you include it. So you read the abstract, if you're sure, you take it. If you're not sure, you go to the conclusion, you read that. If you're sure that it's related, you take it. If not sure, then still you try to take it and keep it with you in a separate, maybe in a folder or something, not sure ones for your next stage to be screened. And then not only that, you just don't keep a record of what you have collected. You have to keep a record of what you have excluded also. Now say when you searched in Emerald Insight, you got 157 papers for this particular keyword search. Then you're reading one by one the abstracts, and then you're dropping papers. Okay, this is not relevant, this is not relevant, this is relevant, I take. So you can't just leave them out and then stay quiet. You will have to take a list of what you have dropped, and then write a reason why. This talks about something else, this talks about this. So then you have a record of what you selected and what you didn't say, what you dropped and why you dropped. Because if you're writing a paper on a literature review, we can give some examples. These papers were excluded from this review because of this particular reason. So for that particular section to be written, you have to have your information ready from the beginning. Okay, and also it will help us to cross-check things. It will be for record keeping, and also it will be for it will facilitate reproducibility. If somebody else wants to do the same research in the same database in the same way, it is easily replicable. Okay, because you're clear on what you have done. Right, now we have come to the end of the fourth point or fourth stage, where we conducted the research and we selected the papers now. Now, out of the 157 in Emerald, now we have selected about 55 papers that are relevant. Now what we do, we have the pool of papers from one database. The same thing we will be doing for several databases, and we'll be collecting so many papers, pools from different databases. Now, I just mentioned database here, but it can be a journal as well. Sometimes, say, it can be not databases. We can do this search. Instead of looking at a database, we can select the best top 10 journals in a particular area. In tourism, the Q1 journals, or maybe there's about 60 some odd Q1 journals. So we take all that into the study. So we decide on that. So then it will be, your search is not on databases, but based on the journals. So whatever it is, you collect your papers after screening. Now you have to extract. Now we read one by one. Now earlier, when we are screening, we didn't read the whole paper, but now we are going to read the whole paper, extracting data. What data to extract and how to extract. Okay, what are we going to extract? We had some research questions and objectives, and we will be what? We will be collecting and we will be extracting data from the papers to fit into this, isn't it? Otherwise, you just don't read it and take whatever it is, whatever is there. The things that are relevant to your research questions and objectives, you can take. It can be also sometimes, now the research that I did, that I showed you, it is about accounting and business process management. Any research done on these areas. So it was like, it was reading papers and trying to see what has been done. So it's more inductive. I started from scratch and then tried to identify, okay, these research, these type of things. Then I combine, okay, there are management accounting sort of things. Then under that, performance measurement things like that. Then later on categorize. That is one approach, inductively. You have a grounded approach. Or it can be a deductive thing. Another Another example I will be showing you now in an Excel on performance measurement characteristics. Now, another literature review I have done on collecting all the characteristics of performance measurement systems out there. People had talked about what characteristics have people talked about in relation to performance measurement systems. For them to be simple, to based on the strategic goals, all that different characteristics of performance measurement systems. So it's more deductive because I didn't want to really think about what other things they have mentioned. I try to just extract more of characteristics of performance measures. So deductive, or maybe we have some themes in somebody's research, we might have some themes. So we take information to fit into those themes. That can be something a person might want to do. And how will we manage this data? How are we going to record and how are we going to keep all this? It can be if you're using like the qualitative analysis tools that I mentioned earlier, it can be NVivo or something that you can use. And then in EndNote, you manage your references and you can do it. But all of us will not have access to those things. So simple form we can use is Excel. In Excel also, it's also considered as a tool when they talk about tools in doing tool-based literature review. So Excel also can be used. You can create an Excel sheet to compile your extracted data, and then you can do your whole research in an Excel sheet. Okay, so I'll just quickly show you an example. Okay, so this is an example, or this is an Excel sheet that you can maintain to record about the information that you say collect from reading papers. This is a common one. This is like anything, any paper that you read, you collect information, certain set of information from that paper. Okay, you extract the journal name, from what database you took, who are the authors, what is the ranking, what's the title, what's the year of publication, where, in what country have they done the research, what are the main subject areas. If the research is done in a particular sector, then what is the sector? Then methodology followed, okay, and then variables. Any important definitions that are there in that particular study? What are the theories that these studies have used? And some info about the results and future research directions they give. That is also important because if you're writing a research paper on literature reviews, at the end you should propose certain future research based on your work. So you can use the work that the proposals that others have made on the different areas also. Okay, so this is one example of how you can maintain Excel, and then that other research I mentioned to you about extracting performance measurement characteristics. So,
excuse me, doctor, we couldn't see your example actually, the Excel sheet.
Oh, I'm really sorry. I just went to the link and then I didn't share it, isn't it? Sorry about that. That I have to share separately. Okay, let me. Okay, so
this is Sanjana. Okay, that's a good comment you made, right? Sanjana.
Yes.
So this is one of our students actually. He had made that comment. Okay, you can.
No worries, sir. No, that's totally all right. Yes, I'll just share my screen. Then.
No, I think it says Mr. Tyrone, sir.
Can you all see this now?
Yes, ma'am. Now it's okay.
Okay, this is a second example. I'll go back to my previous, the other one after showing this. So this is about the structured literature review done for collecting performance measurement system characteristics. Okay, so purely done in Excel, not in NVivo. Here, I extracted all the characteristics from different papers and I put the reference here from which paper I took it and then put some process. So likewise, all these characteristics extracted from these different papers and then it was marked against the paper. And then when you go to a second stage, you can, now you can't be reporting all these 100, 200, it had about, I think it had about, say somewhere like 400 on the performance measurement characteristics. So then second stage was to combine similar ones. So easily you can take the whole line and put them into a second stage categorization like this, because all the information in that row related to that particular characteristic where it is originally recorded is there. Then you can do a second level categorization. Then you can go to another level of categorization. Round one categorization you can do, and then whatever similar themes you can combine and you can do a second round, then you can go for a third round, likewise you can do. So ultimately I was able to put this down to 30 characteristics in 7 themes. So that whole analysis was done on Excel. Okay, and the earlier one that I showed you, which you all didn't see, was this, where now the ones who are already doing the doing your research, you can use this because that earlier one is specifically on a specific topic and a research, but this is something that we can commonly use when we are doing literature reviews. So whatever the paper that you read, you extract this common set of information. This is not an exhaustive list once again. You can add your own columns for information that you like to extract from papers, but commonly this is one of, this is something that I took from one of my students' research, which we are doing at the moment. So there, what we do is we take the journal name, the database, authors, the ranking of that journal, then title, year, country, subjects discussed, then the sector in which the paper, the research is done, methodology followed, whether it's a quantitative, qualitative, what, and then the main variables. Maybe when we have quantitative studies, we have several variables. So what are the variables? Then the definitions, what are the definitions in that paper we can find, the theories that we can find in that particular paper, and then the main results and contributions, and then also here about future research. I said why it's important to take the future research part, because it might be useful for us when we are drafting our future research directions from our research. So those are two examples that we can that is on how we can use Excel for these work. I should have actually taken more time on this, but I think I'm running out of time, and then you all might be falling asleep also. So I'm trying to finish, cover up all the things, important things before my time expires. So and then, so we are here with data extraction, tool-based or non-tool-based. We extracted data. Now, while we are extracting this data, we come across certain important references. Now, when you're reading the paper, you see this person's name is always coming up, okay? So that means he's a person who had been writing about this particular area for a long, like say that person had contributed a lot. So why not I take the work that he had done? And also we get the reference list, okay, in the papers that we go through. So in those references also we might find papers that might be interesting to us to add to our work. So that is called backward search. Okay, identifying relevant work cited by the articles. That is, we do the backward search by looking at the reference list of the article. Or we can take the authors, as I mentioned earlier, the ones whose names are coming up say regularly, and then we can go to their maybe the Google Scholar or maybe their ResearchGate or some place, and then identify, okay, what else have these authors been writing about and talking about. And in the reference list, we can find about it's about backward search. Now, when it comes to forward search, it is about here, forward search we can do by this. Google Scholar or ISI citation index, they give us the opportunity to, in the below they say cited by other, like say this paper, who else have used this paper in future, not in their reference list, but this paper being cited by other scholars. So we can go to that list and see what other research can we take from those who have already cited this paper. So backward is going back to the reference list or the authors, and then forward is talking about the Google Scholar citations or ISI citation index and trying to get information about other relevant papers that we can use. And same procedure, you have to include, you have to think about inclusion, exclusion, screening, and then extracting data for those also that you add at the end. Then lastly, synthesis and reporting. You will have to put whatever you found and then put them nicely, and then you have to report it. So usually you organize the data based on the research questions and the objectives you have. And also the reporting style will vary with the review type and also the place where it will appear. Okay, if it's a review article, you will have a different format of reporting. If it's a chapter, you will have a different way of reporting. If it's a section in a paper, it will be a different way of reporting. So depending on the research questions and objective and where it will appear and what type of research you did, it will change. So I will just show you a checklist where if you are trying to report for reporting for a literature review paper, then a literature review paper will follow this structure. It will also have an abstract, then it will have an introduction, then it will have a methodology, method section, then results, discussion, conclusion. So this is again taken from that paper. I have not cited the reference. Here it's from the same paper from Bandar et al. That I showed you earlier, the one with tool-based approach. So she and her group had been giving out this checklist, what to include in a review paper. Okay. No, it will look like the same. It will be similar to what we have, what we do in a normal research article, but it will have some more points on, say, the method and all. We will have to explain a bit more. So quality, all these points that all these steps that I followed will be useful in trying to compile your paper at the end. Okay, so to sum up the process, it will have 7 stages. In between, you do several different other subtasks, but this is what you will be doing in the process of conducting a literature review. Okay, so I think I'm almost there, and then that is what I plan to talk to you all about today, and almost there. So I think it's time for you all now. If you all want to know something additional. Yes, Madhushan.
Yes, thank you, Doctor. Thank you. It was like really a comprehensive one, a bit of a lengthy one. But like personally, I have grabbed a lot of things from this presentation. I believe like the other audience definitely will have questions or to clarify certain areas. But I think like I have the privilege to ask you the first question because I just want to clarify a small area, Doctor. Now you mentioned about the multiple types of reviews, like you gave like 8 areas.
Yes.
And you mentioned like you mentioned that we should select one. So my question is like, is there a way that we can have maybe 2 or 3 types of reviews?
Yes,
Or
that is called,
is it
yeah,
wrong?
I think I missed that point. That is called a hybrid review, where we can come. I think I missed that point. Sorry about that. If now it can be a combination of these as well. So we call it a hybrid review, where depending on your requirement, it can be you can do a scoping review, then you can go for a meta-analysis. So you can combine things like that, which are compatible really and suits your requirement. Possible, Madhushan, yes.
Okay, so that is not wrong, is it, Doctor?
No, never, no. You can even say combine 5 types of reviews and do one large review. There's no hard and fast rule about the number of types that you can use. No. But only thing, why you use different types, you have to justify. That is one point in the protocol. Like say selected types and why you selected, you have to justify. Then you have a rationale for doing it.
Okay, Doctor, got it. Thank you. So we will move into our audience. They can ask questions from a doctor, or are there any clarifications? And Doctor, I would like to, if you can share your email address on the screen, so the students can write to you maybe in the future if you wish to, or maybe you can send it to me so I can share it.
Yeah, sure. Yes, no problem. I hope there's no questions. Nobody is asking questions.
Professor, would you like to add something?
No, I think they must have questions actually. Now, if they don't have questions, there are 2 indications on Dr. Janitha lecture. One thing is everybody got to know everything. Otherwise, everybody got to know nothing, right? So therefore, okay, I think Damsi, what is your research area, Damsi? Damsi, Dhanushi, and Edina already finished her master's. She is waiting for the Viva. Now, do you have any? Now they also submitted her master thesis.
Yeah, Professor, would like to mention that it was super fruitful session for all of us, because enlightening about different areas in very comprehensive manner and in very detailed manner. So mostly most of us would be speechless because of her explanation on each and every points in very clear manner. So so it was very clear, sir.
Right now, I think new students like there are some other students, Chaturika, Manori, Mutuhari already completed masters. So you can ask question, right?
Yeah, I always had some questions regarding the literature reviews. I didn't know that stream has so much depth. I just know. So I think I won't regret these 2 hours for my lifetime. So it's a really valuable thing.
Thank you.
So now you can't expect from us like the very extensive and very analytical way of literature review. I think if you are having some problem in your mind, okay, it is better to ask the question and clarify. There are very good students doing their masters, have completed their masters and writing their masters. So I think that this is a good time because Dr. Janitha did it on my request. She is so busy lecturer because of these things. and I'm very proud of you and honored to you and grateful to you for what you have done. Actually, when the students comments, you can see that how you made the contribution for the students. They are silent because they are speechless of.
Or maybe they didn't understand anything, sir. That might be also the reason. But that's
now,
okay.
now
I
it has
think no.
been.
Maybe with the time and all, people want to really finish it soon. Maybe that's another reason.
No. Now I thought that they are speechless because of they couldn't understand anything. But now you got two comments
Yes,
from
yes.
two students. So you
Yes,
realize
yes.
that
Yeah. They understood very. Yes.
they are speechless because of the input you have given to the students. So I think if there is no question from the students, we can conclude the session.
Yeah.
And I think that we have, I would like to invite one of our students to make a vote of thanks for her. And that is very, very important.
Yes, thank you, Professor. Thank you, Professor. And Doctor, thank you very much. As Professor correctly mentioned, there are certain levels of students, in the sense like we have postgraduate students and master students as well. So sometimes like there can be problems of absorbing the knowledge, because like this is a very focused, streamlined, specialized area actually. So I believe when you share your email address, people will write you asking certain questions from you in the future, and I'm so grateful to you. But not to let you go right now, I would like to invite one of our fellow students from our batch. She's a professional hotelier working in 5-star hotels in the food and beverage section, and her name is Gayatri Randeni, to deliver the vote of speech officially.
Thank you, Madhushan. So I think it was a very valuable session. I would like to express my gratitude to our honorable speaker, Dr. Janitha Abeygunasekera, to take out the time of your busy schedule to grace this event a success. It was a really informative and a highly vital session. You have nicely taken through how to do a systematic review for the academic research. So next, I would like to thank the Professor Suranga Silva, the mentor and the initiator for all, and the president of University of Colombo Tourism Medical Circle, alumni of University of Colombo Tourism. I would like to express my special gratitude to all the esteemed participants who participated, and your presence and the contribution is very much appreciated. My special thanks to moderator, Mr. Madhushan Jayatilaka. Finally, at last but not least, I would like to express my thank you for all the technical team and all the students at University of Colombo. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gayatri. So I would like to invite Dr. Janitha again. Like if you have time, please join with us and please share your valuable knowledge with us in the future. Professor will be in touch with you and communicate with you. So we as students, we really love to hear the professional experience and the technical knowledge that we can gain as students. So once again, thank you very much, Doctor, for joining us. Wishing everybody a safe Sunday, and since everybody has to get ready for the next week, Monday as well. So good night, everyone. Have a safe day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay.